Hi there. My name's Carl Bavona, and I'm the Senior Director of Social Media here at Ignite Visibility.
And my name is Josh Rohr, and I'm a senior strategist here at Ignite Visibility.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the best days and times to share content across Facebook. Let's get right into it. So, hey, Josh, with all of the new and emerging social platforms such as Threads, TikTok, let's start here. Is Facebook still even relevant these days?
The simple answer and the very, very short answer, which could go on forever, is yes. Facebook is still very much an important platform. It's so easy and it's so diluted both on LinkedIn and on social media. Who uses Facebook? But the reality is that there's still 2.9 billion users within the platform, and that's just 36% of the world population. So without getting into every single metric of every state, county, the reality is, regardless of what generation you're looking at, they are still using Facebook or still have an active Facebook account. And so, although the age of like Facebook users are around 65 and more so in the older population, 84% of millennials still use that platform. And so, regardless of what you're looking at from a demographic standpoint, you're still seeing a high influx of the population using the platform consistently.
Yeah, that's incredible. It still surprises me that 84% of US millennials are still active on the platform daily. So, yeah, as you had mentioned, great call out. No matter what age you're looking to target, they are active on Facebook. So now that we've established that Facebook's still very relevant and growing by the minute, does the timing of when you share a post really matter?
At the end of the day, it's a hard yes, like absolutely. But it really just depends on when your target audience is actually engaged. So you want to make sure that you're posting content when you know your audience is actually going to see it. Otherwise, it's essentially just putting billboards and flyers on a home that's at the wrong address. So you want to make sure that you actually are posting your content when your audience is going to be most engaged and has a highest probability to interact with it. So if your demographic is more of the blue collar worker that's working in a warehouse, you're probably going to want to post either really early in the morning or more later in the afternoon because, again, those are the times you're going to be up. That's just a conjecture, but at the end of the day, it really does matter when you're pushing your content because you want to make sure that your target audience, that ideal customer that could actually make a purchase, is going to see that content.
That totally makes sense. If I was targeting a mother of newborn children, posting in the middle of the night might be a strategic move since they might be up scrolling Facebook as they're feeding their tiny babies. But if you wanted to target a more older demographic, retirees, the middle of the night is probably not the best time. So, yeah, definitely keeping in mind who your audience is and when they're active on these platforms. So now that we know the proper timing can have a significant impact on your organic reach, what's the best possible time to post on Facebook?
So it's really kind of a tricky question. It almost sounds silly, but the best time to post is really when your audience is engaged, right? And for every single brand, every single medium and platform, that's a little bit different. But what's really important is that you determine when your platforms are having the highest amount of activity. So here at Ignite, we use Sprout Social as a scheduling platform as well as a reporting platform. It's something that we live and die by. According to Sprout Social, for Facebook, typically the best time to post collectively, just under the umbrella of posting times, is typically between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. And then the most engagement typically occurs between the weekday hours, between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And then you start to see a little bit more of a downtick when you start going through like the general Monday through Friday. But generally speaking, and I'm sure that every social media manager has looked up that later blog where it shows best times to post. It really does vary. There is a post frequency and a post time that will work in general, but for every single platform and even deeper, every single business, it's very much going to vary from business to business. So it's really important that you discover what time that is by looking at your analytics.
Yep, that totally makes sense. I really think that they have these general, here are the best times to post. And a lot of it is based on when people are most active on the platforms, just in general. So with that, is there a most active time on Facebook?
So again, according to Sprout Social, from a generality standpoint, the highest level of engagement and reach is typically between Tuesday through Thursday from about 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., give or take.
Yep. So catching people as they're scrolling through, maybe on their lunch break, they're at work, things like that, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, you always want to think of it in the sense of when you get up, what's the first thing you do? Maybe have your social media set to the side and you have a morning routine and then you get into it. But the reality is you're most likely looking at your social media right when you get up. And then when you have some free time, whether that's on a lunch break or you're about to head home from work. So you have to really put yourself in the shoes of your user or customer to say, okay, if I'm getting up at this time, am I going to probably check my phone? Yes. So that's usually some psychology that kind of goes into it as well.
Now that we've established that there's a most active time on Facebook, is there a worse time to post on Facebook as well?
Absolutely not. I mean, the difference really falls in between like various industries, and it has a lot to do with like the people and the target markets. Again, if you're a marketer and you're like myself and you typically start your work day at 9 a.m., that's going to be that might be that best posting time to kind of target me versus a construction worker where their day is starting way earlier. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what your industry is. It's very, very important to really understand when the best time to post is. And again, it goes back to the analytics. So there is no wrong time, but there's just times that are going to be a little bit more strategic and you put yourself in the best position. That's all marketing is, right? Putting ourselves in the best position to be seen.
General rule of thumb, I think they say that if you're looking for the most engagement, stick to the weekday posting, as Sunday is notorious for being the worst day for engagement, apparently, which is counterintuitive, but makes sense. People are out with their families, going to dinners, really not connected to their devices the whole day. So I think that totally makes sense. So trying to stick to weekday postings during that nice little sweet spot during the mid-afternoon. So it's safe to say there's a catch-all rule of thumb that translate across all industries, Josh?
I would say typically not. I mean, generally, from again, it depends on industry. The biggest rule of thumb I would say is just know your audience. And that sounds like such a broad marketing tip, right? Know your audience, but it really comes down to knowing who they are, what they're looking for, and really just understanding their pain points. Because again, even from a social media standpoint, you really want to have them know, okay, if I'm again targeting a construction worker, that's going to be a vastly different time than if I'm targeting a mom, right? So again, I think there's no right answer, and that's what's kind of cool about marketing is you're constantly learning. But I think that to answer your question, there is no one all fits all type of strategy. You just have to find what works for you, and then the reality of it is, especially this ecosystem, it might be different 1 month to the next because people change, your audience changes and evolves. And so you really want to make sure you have the right tools and marketers behind that strategy to make sure that they're consistently updating that strategy.
What other variables might make an impact on organic reach and performance?
Oh, it's not as simple as just knowing the time of day when to post or knowing when your users are most likely to post, but you also really need to factor in a variety of things. So you need to factor in their location. Is there different areas they are in? Is there something that's going to affect that could affect them viewing your content? Something as simple as time zones, right? So there's so many factors that can actually go in besides just, oh, I'm posting on Tuesday at 9 a.m. That's my optimal time. There's so many other factors that you have to consider. And that really kind of goes back to knowing the psychology of your demographic. So you really want to schedule posts based on the majority of your audience. Don't niche down too much because you want to make sure that you're expanding the net of influence you have. And then as far as time zones, I would say also that 50% of the US population is typically within the Eastern time zone, and then Central time zones usually comprise about 80% of the population. So I would say don't focus too much on generalities alone, but make sure you're really looking at the analytics. And it's so simple nowadays, and all these platforms make it as easy as possible so you can kind of put yourself and your content in the best position to be seen. So I would say really hone in on that versus kind of the generalities.
Yeah, I totally agree. Don't just rely on those generalities. Analytics are a marketer's best friend. So really take a deep dive into those analytics on the back end of your Facebook page to get further insights into where your audience is and what times they're engaging with your content. Josh, do you have any other tips to make sure that marketers are posting at the best times?
I mean, we've reiterated a couple times, but analytics, analytics, analytics. Because the reality is data is our best friend. It creates us, it puts us in the best opportunity to not make informed decisions. But also, one of the things that I would know too is the analytics, though they'll be dialed in, we are dealing with human beings, right? So it can switch on the dot. But you put yourself in the best position to use these softwares and different reporting tools to be able to really understand at least the consistencies within your audience. That's what I always kind of go back to analytics for. It's never going to be the truth, but it gives you a sense of the overall behaviors month over month, day over day. So that's something that I would definitely rely on. And then also, I want to say it's really important to just make sure you're referencing the insights both in the platform tools, so Meta's actual analytics, but also referencing whatever reporting tool you're using, whether it's to schedule your content or using at an outsource level, because those are most likely going to vary a little bit just due to the APIs. And so I would definitely cross reference your reporting because though they will most likely always be slightly off compared to each other, you'll have a good sense of what the truth is, if you will, of what the actual behavior is.
Really, we're seeing agencies and marketers lean more into automation, just to ensure that their posts are optimized and that everything is being scheduled out appropriately. Can automation help marketers establish their optimal times to post across each platform?
I mean, 100%. I mean, we're diving into the world of AI where everyone's, losing their mind about like, hey, this is what we need to do to make sure that everything's successful. And the thing is I believe that using these tools are only going to propel you. So the good social media marketers out there are going to use these as further leverage to not only make themselves more efficient, but also allow yourselves to put your content and all, great stuff that your audience will resonate in the best position. So using automation tools is the most effective way to start. Again, we use Sprout Social where it provides optimal posting time. So we don't have to do any of the guesswork. It knows when our audience is most engaged. And we really make sure that we hone in on those posting times. So for the same brand, we might have a Facebook post going out at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, but that Instagram post might be going out at 3 p.m. So again, we're putting yourself in position to let your content be seen, as well as hopefully drive those conversions up and hit those KPIs you're looking for. But automation tools are your friend because at the end of the day, we're human beings. There's only so much we can really monitor and kind of have control of in the digital world. So using these things are definitely a recommendation.
Yeah, Sprout's optimal send times really takes a lot of the guesswork out of it for us, really enabling us to maximize the reach on each individual platform. Love that tool, and it's really surprisingly accurate in terms of when your audience is most engaged as well. So to wrap things up, when's the best time to post on Facebook? Honestly, there's no one size fits all answer. There are more popular times overall, and those are great jumping off points when building your own schedule. But from there, you really need to take a deep dive into your analytics and insights, getting a sense of when your audience is most active on each platform, whether it's going into the insights on each individual platform and looking at that data, or using a tool such as Sprout Social or Later that tells you the most optimal times. The information's out there. So marketers really just need to take a deep dive in there and get a better sense of when their audience is most engaged. Remember, factors like time zone, target audience make a big difference. So always rely on your analytics to make the most informed decision on your social media strategy. Josh, thank you so much for your time. It's been a great chat. And to everyone out there, happy posting.